Huge news just dropped. Tower of Fantasy Global is officially being shut down on February 23rd, 2025 after 2.5 years, when it originally launched in August of 2022. But for only 2 days, as Perfect World, the parent company of Hada Studio, the TOF devs, readies up the new servers and transfers in all the player data to continue operation of Tower of Fantasy globally on February 25th. What this means to existing players is that as long as you agree to the data transfer, all you're doing is taking a 2-day break where you can finally go touch some grass while praying that they don't lose your data somehow during the transfer. When the transfer is over, all you have to do is log in with your newly created Perfect World account through the new launcher. Everything should be the same as you left it 2 days ago, but with an additional 10 red pulls and plus 5 red matrices pulls given to you for free. For those that used to play TOF but already quit, especially if you spent money or a lot of time on the game before, I'd still highly advise that you consent to the data transfer and save your data. Even if you don't care about TOF anymore, why not create a Perfect World account early in preparation of NTE? The transfer window is only open from December 27th until April 24th of 2025. If you don't transfer during this period, then your account data will be permanently lost and deleted by Level Infinite. So make sure to do the transfer on time and also tell all your friends about it just in case. Now that the official announcement is out, let's discuss TOF's future, what this transfer implies, and why it even happened in the first place. Oh, I also reached out to the Perfect World's global rep and to Hada devs themselves after learning about this prior with some of my own questions and concerns, and they've given me a few more details that aren't in the announcement, so stay tuned for that later. But first, a brief history lesson on how TOF Global even came to be. Originally, TOF was only published in China back in 2021 of December by Perfect World, and they even came out publicly announcing that they have no plans for a global release of the game when addressing some rumors regarding how foreigners were able to access the game. Apparently, this 8eggs guy, a Genshin CC, discovered that the TOF devs were giving foreigners on Discord Chinese IDs, committing identity fraud to allow foreigners into their Chinese-only servers, which turned out to be just some clout-chasing TOF fanatic doing little impersonation. 8eggs, however, proceeds to blow up his discovery using his cult-like following of Genshin kids and accused TOF of leaking personal info to foreigners, causing severe harm to TOF's reputation in China. Remember, this was peak Genshin days of Inazuma, so the Genshin army was strong, leading to the official response by TOF. He ended up getting sued and lost in court a year later and made an apology post, but I won't be getting into that as that's another story. So TOF never planned for a global release, but why did it end up releasing anyways 8 months after the statement? Well, you gotta thank Tencent for that one. Tencent saw the success of TOF in China and its potential to make money, making more than double the revenue compared to Wuthering Waves in its first month of release, even after a completely disastrous launch being attacked and spammed by the Genshin army digging for anything to slander TOF. TOF, being Hada Studio's first game, was made by a founding team of 50-ish people in 2018 when they got bought out by Perfect World. They ended up at 100 or so people at the time of TOF's release, managed to recuperate their entire development cost and turn out a profit a month later. Tencent, wanting to replicate the same success on the global market, reached out to Perfect World and Hada and secured a publishing agreement for PC and mobile. And since Hada never planned for a global release and didn't have the capacity back then for localization and voice acting work, Tencent took over that responsibility. Tencent basically said, here's a big chunk of money, let me do all the global work for you, and we split profits. And that's how we have global, where Tencent or Level Infinite is in charge of literally everything with regards to global operations. This included running the servers, localizing the game into 9 different languages, finding voice actors to do voice acting in English, Japanese, and Portuguese at one point, community management, running social media, collecting player feedback, doing QA, running marketing campaigns, figuring out global monetization, setting up payment gateways, and even rebalancing and modifying numbers of character kits. The devs at Hada were basically just a vendor for global. All they're tasked to do is implement whatever Tencent tells them to do. This all sounds fine and dandy in an idealistic world as Tencent went around and did all they can to promote the game around launch. They went to anime conventions, hosted insane Twitch drops, hired well-known VAs, sponsored lots of big CCs, ran live streams, and in general did an okay job. But as the players left slowly and Tencent made less and less money out of Tower of Fantasy, Tencent began to show their true colors. Tencent, having only just a publishing agreement and a profit share model, don't really have any interest in maintaining TOF's image and reputation, so they began their tried and true method of increasing profit margins. As this meme shared by internal Tencent employees suggests, Tencent's entire ideology is to reduce costs and increase effectiveness. Any cost-cutting measures that won't significantly harm their profits they will do. And then you all know what happened after. The ads stopped. They stopped doing Twitch drops. VAs got changed, or sometimes characters just weren't voiced at all. Only did Japanese live streams on Anniversary, PvP was left in a broken state since launch as it didn't drive profits, more and more shop bundles and bundles getting worse, and all kinds of general scuff happened because they can't be bothered with doing QA. They realized that the MMO plus gacha mix of Tower of Fantasy is just impossible to retain and keep new players. And existing players, after dealing with all the bullshit already, won't leave anyways after all their sunk cost. So they did what any business would do, the absolute bare minimum, and I don't really fault them for any of this. Once again, Tencent or Level Infinite, as the publisher's entire purpose is to milk as much profit out of the game as they can, continuously searching for the player's bottom line as they continue to cut costs. Meanwhile, the disgruntled players shit on the devs of TOF for not listening and all the scuff that happens in the game, and Hada Studio's reputation plummets further and further globally, which is not the case for the CN server and community. Hada is pretty well known to respond quickly to feedback and implement changes at lightning speed in the Chinese community. Shit, pretty much every single request I made directly to the dev team ended up getting implemented in the next patch. Auto gear recycling, combining gear XP mats on global, auto usage of joint op chips, etc. An Arabic global player even made a scuffed AI translated video on Bilibili requesting Arabic support in world chat, and the devs listened and implemented it in the next patch for global. The whole reason why the devs don't hear global player feedback is the fact that there's a purely for-profit publisher, aka Tencent, and between the players and the devs. For Tencent, filtering player feedback and setting up meetings with devs cost them money in terms of man hours, which could be better used elsewhere. Unless the feedback or bug fixes can turn them a profit, it usually gets filtered and ignored. Again, I'm not here blaming Tencent, it's just the unfortunate reality of the corporate world after all, where money is above all else. With Tencent's involvement in TOF limited to a profit-sharing publishing agreement, they have little incentive to invest further into the game. By contrast, they are much more committed to projects like Nikkei, where they not only handle publishing, but are also a major shareholder in ShiftUp, the developers behind it. Given this, it's only natural that TOF has been deprioritized. So fast forward to today. It is also only natural for Perfect World to take back its publishing rights of Tower of Fantasy from Tencent. I wouldn't even be surprised if my visit to both Perfect World and Hada Studio during the summer, where I emphasize what the global community thinks about them, further accelerated this takeover. I'm not trying to take credit here, but yeah, it's all me. I did this. Yep. But yeah, the more likely case as to why Perfect World is doing all this right now is because of the imminent NTE launch. They can use TOF to maybe slowly build up the reputation on global, while clearing up all the misunderstandings, and at the same time, practice and train their newly hired global operations team on a dead game first, so they don't fuck it up on NTE. It's a win-win for both the players and Perfect World. Knowing the reasoning behind this takeover, TOF players can rest assured that Perfect World is doing this with good intentions in mind. Perfect World, as a publisher and the original owner of Tower of Fantasy, is not just here for profit like Tencent is. They also got a brand image to uphold and a reputation to maintain so that the next game, NTE, that they've bet everything on launches with success. Remember the mass layoffs at Perfect World this year? A third of their company got laid off, while not a single person was touched at Hada Studio. All for the purpose of consolidating all their resources and hiring more people like the global operations team to ensure Hada Studio and NTE's success. On the other hand, knowing that Tower of Fantasy will be Perfect World's first independent global publishing project can also be a bit concerning. This is their first time doing something like this, so be prepared for some scuff as usual, but clearing the low bar that Tencent has set should be fairly easy, right? So I urge all you global players to give them some time and patience as they figure things out at the beginning. Now, let's talk about what to expect after the transfer. I know a lot of you guys aren't familiar with Perfect World, so let's start there. Perfect World Games was founded in 2004 and is primarily known for publishing MMOs in China. They have a well-known track record of pretty much never shutting down any of their published games. They are also the exclusive publisher of Dota 2 and Counter-Strike, or all things Steam for a matter of fact, since the Chinese government requires foreign businesses to work with a local Chinese business to operate inside of China. So rest assured that we are in good hands. After Perfect World takes over, they are making the promise of continuous rewards and updates. I'm personally expecting more and better rewards to the players, given that this whole takeover was to get on the players' good side and build their reputation, so expect more free shit than before. Official merch from Perfect World is also now possible, so stay tuned for giveaway events and launching of their merch shop to buy official TOF figures. Thank God I don't have to do this personally. There will also be a brand new customer support team that can directly contact the devs, and the devs will join the official Discord to do some devs listen moments. I also know all of you are pretty unhappy with the current state of TOF, so I prepared a list of questions and concerns and sent them to the publisher and the devs, and here are some answers. Will there be PS5 crossplay? There won't be PS5 crossplay, at least not immediately after the transfer. but do know that this is now in the realm of possibility as both PC and PS5 servers are under the same publisher now. Give them some time to do things one step at a time. Will we catch up to CN, and what about Global's balancing? There's no immediate plans to catch up to CN, but as usual, they are open to player feedback and will consider it if that's what the players want. The devs also expressed their interest in wanting to reduce the amount of versions of TOF that they have to manage, so remember to give your feedback after retransfer to push this through. Will there finally be a global reboot server? Again, no immediate plans for the launching of reboot servers, but in my opinion, it's really not that much work to just copy paste the reboot server over from CN. It's super balanced and relatively alive and thriving on CN, so I don't see why not if the players want it. Will there be new social media accounts? All existing social media accounts will be retained and passed over to Perfect World to manage, so the players don't have to do anything. And once again, the hottest studio devs will also be officially moving into the TOF Discord server to directly listen to feedback. CN got a community app for NTE and TOF. Will Global also get something similar? They told me that this is in the planning phase, but most likely yes. Will Twitch drops be possible again? Yes, they've confirmed that they will continue doing Twitch drops again, and I will try my best to convince them to keep Twitch drops running for longer, and I can finally sleep again. What other login methods are there? Not sure what login methods will be supported by Perfect World, but existing Level Infinite Pass, Apple, Google, Facebook, Line, or Steam users can authorize and link to a Perfect World Games account through the in-game messages after logging in. For Guest and Epic Games account users, you must first link to a Level Infinite Pass account before transferring to Perfect World, so make sure you do that on time. Finally, if you have any questions, concerns, feedback, or suggestions, make sure to leave a comment down below. I will do my best in letting Perfect World and the devs see it. Now that Tower of Fantasy is back home, surely it's also part of their 10-year promise, so let's all put the EOS jokes down and finally play the game worry-free.
I lost my dear friends during the days. Most of them have slipped away. They believe in me. They try to pay my way. Now I have to move forward for the